What unsolved mystery would you like to be explained in your lifetime? Kyron Horman went missing when I was in 5th grade. He was in 2nd grade. He went to a different elementary school than me, but everyone in the Portland area knew about him, and still will if you mention his name. There were signs everywhere for him, and you occasionally still see them around. He'd be 17 now. It's largely believed his stepmother had something to do with his disappearance, but there's been no evidence to suggest what happened to him this year. Portland remembers him, and we want to know where he is. The cure for Alzheimer's, preferably before I turn 40. Watched as both my great-grandparents in their I believe 80s go from being so sure of themselves to absolutely confused at the most basic of tasks. I had a new name every time I saw them, and they'd always give me $1 and cookies. Then when I got older and learned more about Alzheimer's, I watched as my grandpa slowly faded away, till his death at almost 70+ years old. Now I see my grandma going through the same. It just runs in my family. And now my NDAD is starting to get confused, and he forgot why I don't even speak to him anymore. It's fucking sad. He's only 55. I'm 29, and I'm sure he'll go through it too. Please tell me you aren't 39. Edit. I didn't expect so many upvotes. Thank you. Brandon Swanson. https en.mrwikipedia.org/wiki/disappearance_of_Brandon_Swanson. Car breaks down. On the phone with dad. Says something like, "Oh shit," while still taking the dad and supposedly walking to the town dad was waiting for him this year. That's it. Never heard from ever again. Relatively recently too. Just kind of makes someone wonder. Edit. It wasn't hogs. Very unlikely it was a wolf or a bear. Knowing the area of Marshall MN, he did in fact go through the river, but the dogs had his scent after the river also. No, I don't think it was necessarily a person, and no, I don't find it more interesting than aliens. But it was either comment aliens for the 400th time or put out an unsolved case from a town I spent a few summers in and have heard about happening. Edit. My friend who grew up there said town folk think he may have passed out in a field and got ran over by a combine and didn't tell. Greater than in the morning, his parents reported Swanson missing to police, who advised them to wait, as such behavior was not uncommon for young men his age. No. Look for the fucking missing person. IRC. When they found where he was calling from, it was almost 25 miles away from where he thought he was. When I was little, I wandered off from my parents at a storytelling festival. When I turned back up, I had some type of mild wound on my hand, and all I would say about it was, "Baby cow bit me down there," while pointing toward the nearby river. To this day we have no idea what bit me. We lived in Florida at the time, so it could have been pretty much anything, except for a cow, since there were no farms nearby. Maybe a dog? My daughter fell in a shrub the other day, got some nasty scratches, went to childcare the very next day. They noticed scratches and asked her how they happened. She fed them some bizarre story about riding a slide out of the sandpit, and she scratched herself on a nearby tricycle. They told me all this, and I signed the damaged child form, assuming she'd had a fresh calamity that day. But no fresh scratches. Just the old ones with a hot new story. Not the same as your experience, but reminded me of how hard it is for little ones to communicate with us. Still not sure how she managed to fall in the shrub in the first place. Maybe it was your baby cow that pushed her. Funny looking dog? Dogs nom hands and might look like a baby cow. D.B. Cooper or Jack the Ripper. IDK if they have been. Jack the Ripper hasn't, nor most likely will at this point, although he is probably my pick as well. Really, any unsolved serial, high-profile killing would be interesting to see closed. D.B. Cooper is either the coolest criminal ever or the stupidest criminal ever, and solving it would probably narrow it down. D.B. Cooper went into hiding and reappeared as Tommy Wiseau. Madeleine McCann. I used to be so convinced it was the parents. until I watched the recent Netflix documentary. Now I'm back to being unsure as hell. My main question I just want to know the answer to is if it really wasn't them. Why did the Cavalier dog send out Kate's shirt? Behind the couch, and inside the closet? There's so much contradicting evidence, and the events of what happened afterwards with the Portuguese police make it all the more confusing. For Madeline's sake as well as her siblings, I really hope the truth comes out. There is some controversy about the reliability of cadaver dogs. Clearly they can be quite successful at finding actual human remains. When they indicate a spot in a body is found, we have validation that they are accurate. The idea that they can determine where a corpse has been is more problematic. How long does a body need to have been in that location? How long does the scent linger after the body has been moved? How long does a person need to be dead before the dog can detect the death scent? How do the dog's training and handlers' perceptions factor into this? We don't have reliable, statistically sound data to answer any of these questions. Dogs can't tell us how certain they are about the scent they may have found. They just do what they are trained to do and what they get rewarded for. The Netflix documentary was a brilliant example of very clever propaganda. The whole series is built in a way to leave you supporting the parents in the end. They initially suck you in with directing the focus on the parents, and get a few involved persons to talk about their suspicions, giving you the impression it's a balanced take. By the end, all those people with suspicions turn out to think the parents are completely innocent. It's cleverly done, and meant to sort of guilt trip you into supporting them, by making you feel bad for suspecting them in the first place. All while ignoring pretty crucial evidence they mention offhand at the start. What happened to my friend Daniel? He went missing during our freshman year of college. Over winter break, he was back home in California. He left his keys at home and walked away. He's never been seen since. I know he's probably dead, but a little part of me has always wondered if someone took him, or if something happened and he's alive. And I can't give up that hope until I know he's not alive. Because what if he is and no one believes anymore? Are you really alive if no one believes you are? I had a friend disappear a few years ago. Walked out of a bar and was never seen again. He didn't drive, so he was either on foot or hitched a ride. Police searched all over the area with cadaver dogs. Nothing turned up. Lots of people said he's probably dead, but I won't believe it until a body is found. I know something about him that maybe others don't. He slept rough sometimes, when he was stressed. I saw him walking down an alley once, totally filthy, and obviously had been sleeping outside for a few days. He could have easily hitched a ride far away and lived homeless in the other town somewhere. I think this is what happened to some homeless people. They had a mental break, gave up on living a normal life, moved to another town where nobody knows them and they just exist anonymously. Someone said this to another post that is similar to this. There's a subreddit called r without a trace that may be able to help. Someone must have seen him at some point is the logic. Other than that, post his story on social media annually around the time of his disappearance and hope someone knows something, or it blows up and gets enough people involved. I hope you get answers soon. I have heard of people who have just up and left to start their life over. No contact with people from their past. That sort of thing. Regardless, I hope you get answer, mate. I hope you find out what happened to your friend one day, and I hope it's good news. When I was at university, a guy in our student halls, dorms, Americans, went missing, and I really thought he was dead. It turned out he took his entire student loan to, basically, Tenerife, and was on a beach sipping cocktails for 3 months. Back in 2004, when Scottish student loans were one massive lump sum to last you the year. I'd love it if someone found Forrest Fenn's treasure. To explain, Forrest Fenn was a gentleman with some serious cash. He ended up having a cancer scare and being told he was terminal. So he buried some of his bonds, gold, etc., in a cache and wrote a poem with clues on how to find it. Just like old-timey pirates or what have you. He ended up surviving the cancer and doesn't really give any hints on the treasure, except to say that he goes out like once every few years to make sure it's still buried in the same spot, and it always is. That's how he knows nobody has found it yet. Where is this poem? I hope whoever finds it actually just finds a mirror inside of a box. The treasure was you all along. Greater than that's how he knows nobody has found it yet. Unless someone replaced it with dummy treasure.